Welcome back. I've got Alison Dixon online. Alison, how are you?
I'm doing really well.
Really looking forward to this conversation because you're doing some amazing work. So why don't you share a little bit about you and then we'll jump into the conversation.
Sure. Yeah, so currently Chief Customer Officer at Knox Security. We're a cybersecurity company based in Austin, Texas. And yeah, that's been at Knox about 3.5 years.
Beautiful. Yeah. Austin is such the incubator of all kinds of
Wow.
things.
It's been a great
It's
move for us.
Yeah, I bet. I bet. Yeah. And, I know quite a few people from a variety of different industries that, call Austin home now. And it's moved a long way from Austin city limits, and of course that's still, obviously a backdrop, but no, kudos to everybody involved, the town, the community, everybody else to create this environment where, all kinds of different industries can thrive and grow and have this amazing way of life and all that. So congratulations to you for setting up. So, as we talked a little bit in the pre-show, cybersecurity is one of these things that just are, quite frankly, should be top of mind, just like breathing,
Mhm.
because we are more and more, technically connected than we've ever been before, which opens up the door for all kinds of different issues and challenges. And, I'm sure in the 3+ years that you've been with the organization, if not longer, you've seen all kinds of different things come about that, weren't, an issue 3 years ago, but they certainly are now. So I'd love to hear your thoughts on that.
Yeah, and AI clearly is having an impact. I think we see just as an organization, we're sharing these articles. When's the last time you've opened the news and you don't see a hack? It's more common that someone got hacked. It's daily, right? And so you're sharing all of your personal information with these companies. They're getting more and more clever in how they're collecting your information, and then they're constantly getting breached. So it's protecting yourself just as an individual. And then how do organizations protect their own customers, because one breach could end your company. So, I think that there is a lot of talk about cybersecurity, but I think that people's posture in it and how they think about it can be different. And, I think that there's also we are creatures of trying to find ease. And so when we think about the simple things and the simple principles of like passwords, right? Reusing passwords. Like my company, what we do, we get rid of passwords. So rather than relying on your employees to change their passwords or have secure passwords or use MFA, which is annoying, right? We just get rid of them. So I think it's finding the balance between the ease that people want, and again, just being smart with how you're developing your product. And right now, again, we talked about this in the pre-show, right? The pressure to have everything be AI and use AI, and to really the detriment of customers, honestly, at the end of the day.
Oh yeah. Oh, just look under the person's keyboard. They probably have it on a post-it note. If it's not on their monitor,
Correct.
yeah, or yeah, you see all those things like, okay, I named it after my cat, and but I have it so I don't forget the password. It's like, do you forget the name of your cat? No. All right. Well then, yeah, just, I mean, obviously you want something a little bit more secure, but I agree with you. It's, passwords are, again, and then the two-factor authentication, that's a pain, especially if you have a couple different devices that you use them for, and then you're like, oh, I don't have that device with me. Ah, crap. And yeah, it's annoying. And it's, there's obviously as we're approaching 2026, there's better ways to do things. And ideally, that's why, leveraging, the expertise from organizations like yours to help with that. Like, yeah, I just can't do with that. But going back to the AI thing, and we talked about this again. I always tell people I should just hit record from the second I say hello because, well, there's so many good nuggets we end up talking about in the beginning. But with AI, and you nailed it, everybody is got this fear of missing out going on.
Mhm.
And when we have that, that's when you let your guard down and you go, all right, well, we're going to use this. We're going to upload our information so we can easily access it, so it's easier to find the files and all that stuff instead of a shared Dropbox or Google Drive or whatever they happen to be using. And they just upload it to whatever mechanism or tool they're using, which is, wide open and people can access it. It's like if you're uploading something to, an AI platform, whether it's OpenAI or Copilot or anybody else, you're basically giving them permission. Yep, here you go, index it, and there's no way for them to say, but I just want it internally, unless you have something built in and locked in. But I tell you what, it's I'm concerned because with everybody uploading all this stuff, it's not going to take any time at all for some pretty significant trade secrets or potential acquisition targets or things like that. Imagine your company, you're publicly traded, and you're planning on trying to take over another company. That gets out before you're ready to try to do that. Yeah, those days, I'm surprised they haven't happened already. And I think they will, which is again going to be like I've seen with anything. It's like everyone jumps into it and they realize, oh wow, we went a little too far with this. We got to come back and scale it back a little bit. But I think right now, as you said, a lot of the funding bodies, the angel investors and all that, they're telling their companies that they're funding, hey, start rolling out AI yesterday. And like, okay, what do we do with it? What do we roll out? And I think people are just launching it, not knowing what they're doing.
Yeah, well, it's funny. I'm on a angel investing. I'm part of Central Texas Angel Investing Network as well. I sit on the board, and I mean, it's just become an ongoing, almost, I don't want to call it a joke, but at the same time, everybody's just added like we do this and AI, right? Like sort of slapping AI on the product and being like, we're AI now, and it like it's better somehow. So I think we haven't found the balance between, the innovation and but understanding that there's inherent risk with something that we just don't fully understand. So I think that the pressure to incorporate AI in a way that may or may make sense for your business, may not, but quickly and without much reason or thought is just a dangerous spot to be in. I think that for us, we have been a lot slower. Like we are not just kind of being willy-nilly with, we're going to add AI to our product in some way. I think that on our roadmap, we think that there are particular, oh, that could be interesting, but we want to be really thoughtful because you're right, it's a huge vulnerability at this point where if you don't understand it and you're just responding to the money that's backing you, saying like, okay, we got to slap AI on this, so we say we do it, and you're not even really delivering customer value. I think we're all at a place where it's like, I don't want to pay more or for a thing that just makes it actually harder for me to get to a human and it's not answering my question. And that's, I mean, I'm a consumer of a lot of products, and that's kind of where I'm at. I'm like, oh, great, you added AI, I got to pay more, but not getting any more value. And I think that, are probably in a bubble, just saying. So again, I think that we might look back at this time of just like the wild west of like, oh my gosh, so I think being a little prudent with this, but exploring it, but having some a little bit of restraint is probably the right way to be approaching it.
Yeah, it's the best way, in my opinion, to do it as well. And I see a lot of organizations say we're going to roll out AI, and it's like, okay, cool. What are you going to do with it? Well, we're just going to have it do this and this. And I asked them, all right, are your business processes, your standing operating or standard operating procedures, are all these things clearly articulated, mapped out? You could literally grab any random employee in your company and say, okay, walk us through this procedure, and they'd be able to do it. Unless that answer is yes, then using AI is just basically putting a new tool on a broken system. You're just,
Right.
okay, so now you have an AI broken system. Congratulations. It's going to might give you even more garbage than what you're normally getting out of non-AI related things. So I love how you guys are being really proactive and like, okay, does this make sense for us to leverage, an LLM or some other mechanism to help with this deliverable? How does this benefit the customer? Will this be, like you said, a value add, or is this going to be someone's going to go, ugh, and like with chatbots and things like that. And I'm a big fan. I had a conversation the other day with somebody about this. And they said, I don't have a problem if I call somebody and I know it is a chat bot that's answering. But
Mhm.
I'd like them to tell me so,
Sure.
and I think that's something, and not that I'm a big fan of legislation per se, but it wouldn't be a bad idea to consider that. It's like, okay, if you are using, a chat bot to answer a phone and it sounds very human, but it should say, "Hi, I am Melanie. I am a chat bot. However, I am well versed in everything there is to know about my organization. If at any time you would like a human to speak to you, press this combination code or um, give us the kernel secret recipe, whatever it is, we'll give you, an opportunity." And I think people will do that because I used an AI call bot just the other day. I had to call for a road service for a vehicle, and I went through and I knew what it was. And they said, if you don't want to do this and want to speak to a human, the wait times are currently this. Otherwise, we can get this done in a minute. Okay, you know what? I'm investing a minute to see, and if it blows up, then I'll wait in the
Yeah.
queue. It did a great job. It had all the information it needed from me. It knew exactly where the vehicle was, all that. It took care of it. They had somebody dispatched to address it a lot faster than I was prepared for them to be there. It's because you call, you're like, oh, I'll call, and then they'll come in. It's like, no, they're like, we're 5 minutes away. Oh, wait, what? No, hold on, I'm doing something. It's like, can you make it 15? But
Yeah.
again, that's a great way to use it, but and I see this all the time. Organizations that deploy things, they don't ask the customer. And I find that ironic, but not surprising anymore, where what's the customer experience going to be like for this? And if you don't have somebody like yourself in
Right.
there going, what about the customer? The one that actually should be signing my checks because they're the
Sure.
ones paying me. We should probably include them from time to time, don't you think?
One would think, yeah. And but I think I've been thinking about this lately where, we're seeing, we're not immune to the macroeconomic right now, right? You have customers whose budgets are getting pressured and, my fear is like the things that people are maybe sacrificing to now, focus on the AI spend where it's like, okay, the things how companies are getting hacked are still the dumb things. Ransomware, all those things that like they're getting better now. Like the emails I'm getting that are phishing are incredible, right? And that's probably because that's definitely an AI. So I fear the sacrifice of spend for AI, but the traditional ways that we're going to get breached are still going to continue. It is passwords. It is the employees who are using the phishing, those kinds of things. And AI is just kind of accelerating that. So, I think that the vulnerability attack space is increasing while budgets is increasing while the budget to protect companies is decreasing, and that's concerning.
Yeah, my spouse works for a transportation organization, and the not the general manager, but the senior general manager in the region where they're based, his phone got, basically, hacked and was, sending out messages to employees because they were, in the contacts, asking if you can give me a call, let's line up, I need something, those kind of things, which were very, cryptic, but it sounded like him, but it was weird because he normally will communicate either by calling or in person or their internal communication system that's within their CRM and all of that. That's usually the mechanisms that he uses. So it caught them off guard, and one of them, went to the GM and said, uh, you know, is this person trying to reach you? I go, no, why? I didn't get a message. But two or three people that normally they wouldn't directly go to was asking for stuff. So it was like, okay. And then they got a hold of the individual and he went, yeah, my phone got, hacked. And it's like, okay. And of course, everybody's on those. And we know that smartphone security, isn't anywhere near what we would see on a desktop or a laptop, especially when it comes to text messaging or even on, the email apps. The the protection isn't there. If it happens to get dumped into spam folder, fine. But many times, most of the stuff we see that are phishing, they're right in your inbox, and they could be a priority message, or it could be from somebody you think it's from, and it really isn't because you don't look at the where's this actual sender from, and you see .ru or something in the domain, and you go, I don't remember us being operating there. So I'm of the opinion of I'm going to look at it. Is this actually from them before I do anything with it? But of course, I'm wired that way. I go, I've worked in IT for a while, so I get it. I remember the day I'm old enough to remember when the old viruses like Melissa came out, and boy, was that fun to clean that up. But there's so many of them now that are even much worse than that that just cause so much damage to companies.
Well, I mean, my alma mater just got hacked. I got an email message from UPenn from somebody saying, Penn got hacked, and it was like a pretty terrible message. But it took over a lot of their systems, and I think they got it hacked through phishing, right? So my advice, and I think, my working in cybersecurity just makes you like this, but hypervigilance. Like, I don't click on anything. I just don't. Like, even if I'm expecting a DocuSign, I'm gonna make sure that that's the real thing. And, again, our voices, your voice, our voices are out there. So, you should have some kind of protocol with your spouse, because, a number calling you saying, this is me, I need this money, say whatever, like, you need to think through those things, because at this point, everybody is an attack surface. You don't know, and there's, not to act like everybody's gonna hack you at all times, but again, just having those procedures of like your own security, your company's security, and thinking through like what are the AI vulnerabilities, voice being one of them, those kinds of things. But again, I recommend hypervigilance.
Yeah, with my late mother passed away last year, even with the voice recognition and things like that, I played an audio clip of my cloned voice because, I play around with AI stuff and I know that,
Yeah.
it's probably not wise to do that, but, I do it and like, let's hear what it is. But I told her, I said, okay, does that sound like me? Yeah. It's like, that wasn't me. And I said, so here's what we did. We came up with a safe word, actually a couple of them. I said, I'm going to write it down on a piece of paper. I'm going to put it in your drawer in case you don't remember them. Okay. And if you get a call or a message that you think is from me asking for something that's out of the ordinary, um, ask what the safe word is. And I didn't type it. I did old school piece of paper, wrote it down. And it's like, this is the safe word. With my spouse, we have a safe word. And so we know that, there's always that opportunity. And you don't have to be somebody that's public facing either. Everybody thinks, well, that's only going to be because they're going to go after somebody like Brad Pitt. No, it could be Brad Smith. It could be,
100%. Yeah.
yeah, and it doesn't matter. They 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 basically go and they look around. They just canvas anybody and everybody, and if they land a few of them and they get a few bucks, that adds up really quick if they can do a couple hundred, a couple thousand a day or a week or something like that. And meanwhile, you see people, losing tens of thousands or even more money. I've seen stories, in Toronto where, an elderly couple, they lost close to six figures on a bad thing. And I go there and I just like, that's horrible. I mean, if I lost that, obviously I would be, devastated, but I know, okay, well, I'm still of working age. I could, kind of recoup some of that over a period of time. you're a retiree, every nickel counts. And again, they're the targets because they're out there and they're not up to speed on all of this. And I see it, and it's frustrating because it's so hard to catch these individuals that are doing it because they could be, you know, 18 billion miles away and going through a data center and going through 18 VPNs. And even if you do kind of narrow it down where they could be, if they're in a jurisdiction where that local government's going, mm, we're getting a cut, we don't care. The likelihood of ever recouping any of that that's lost is, so rare. So that's why it's so important, like you said, just basically assume that what the message you're getting is fake. I
Yeah,
know that as dark as that is, you're going to be
honestly,
better off. You
and
have to.
we're all in human beings who respond to urgency. We make quick decisions that aren't always correct. Like there's this human element where I feel very terrible for people who do respond, see the phishing email, click on it, and then their company is breached. Like what a horrible thing to happen to that person who just in the moment clicked on something they shouldn't have. I don't want to carry that. I don't want to carry that guilt. Um, so I think that the right approach is in your personal life, do the annoying thing, sign up for the MFA, have the complicated passwords. They make it easy now, right? Like there's the password managers. Take that extra step. Just make sure you're protected. For companies, you are only as safe as your least security conscious person in your company. So why would you ever put your people in a position where if they click on a phishing email, they can take down the company? Like that's crazy. And there's no amount of security training. And actually, the data has showed phishing training does not work. So there's no amount of training that is going to negate all of that risk. So as a company, there is a lot of noise in cybersecurity. There is a lot of pressure and noise and like we got to use AI, we got to spend on AI. But think about the attack surfaces and how do you just remove the risk? Remove it so that someone clicking on something can't take you down. You know what I mean? So I think it's as simple and as hard as that of like I'm a company, that's how I'm thinking about it. If I'm a person, I'm setting up again, that's a great idea to have that word with your mother so that there's like she knows it's you. You know, what did that take you? 5 minutes? Like just do these little things. How long does MFA really take? I think it's while the attack surface has increased and the vulnerabilities are there, we can still protect ourselves and it's not that hard. You just can't always take the complete easy route.
Yeah, it takes maybe a few seconds longer, but if you get hacked and you have to, or ransomware or something like that, how many hours or days or weeks or months are you going to be spending trying to get things back? That
Right.
that that 5 seconds to load up the 2FA or whatever authentication mechanisms you're using. Um, it's worth it. Spend the extra couple minutes. I know in this instant, we got to get it done yesterday society, the hackers know that and they're taking advantage of it. So slow and steady wins the race, as the tortoise and the hare taught us so many times. So
Yeah.
that's one of my favorite leadership books. People ask me, "What's your favorite leadership book?" It's like Tortoise and the Hare, and they kind of look at me like, "What?" So there's a lot of lessons in that book for us,
When
and
everybody's going one way, I'm telling you right now with the instant communication, instant gratification, the hive mind, the lack of being thoughtful. I mean, you really, by following kind of the principles, like what you're talking, like you can really set yourself apart. And again, it relates to cybersecurity, but just also yourself as a leader. Like think, process like that. It is just becoming a lost art.
yeah, yeah, the pause, just the actual pause for a second. And yeah, too often people are just got to instantly react like, no, 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 no. That's like, it's like, are you going to eat, a steak that's made in a microwave, or are you going to have a steak that was cooked on a grill over a period of time? I'm choosing the grill 10 times out of 10.
Right, right.
So, just spoiler alert there, a little Texas shout out for you. So, Allison, love this conversation. Where people can find you and all this amazing work you do.
Yeah, so I think if you want to check out Portnox, it's www.portnox.com, LinkedIn, Alison Dixon. Those are kind of the two best ways to reach out to me.
Awesome. Definitely have that in the show notes. So, Allison, thanks so much for the work you're doing.
Yep.
It's really important. Really
Awesome.
loved our conversation today.
Awesome. Thank you so much.